On this edition of Emeril's Florida, we highlight Viva Florida 500, the 500th anniversary of Ponce de Leon's arrival in the Sunshine State. And we're going to mix some history with some great food. Our first stop is St. Augustine, the oldest city in the United States, and we'll sample some awesome Spanish cuisine at the tasting room. Then, we'll head to Pensacola to Jackson's Steakhouse, named after our 7th president and the first governor of Florida, Andrew Jackson. There, we'll be preparing some Wagyu beef. Next is Ybor City in Tampa, where we'll visit the oldest restaurant in Florida, the Columbia. Paella is on the menu. Our final stop is the Kennedy Space Center to talk space food with a shuttle commander, and then he's going to teach me how to land the shuttle. So fasten your seatbelts. That's all coming up on this edition of Emeril's Florida. When the Spanish explorers arrived on Florida's east coast in 1513, it laid the foundation for the many nationalities that would eventually come together to form the United States. To celebrate the 500th anniversary of Spain's arrival in Florida, there's a statewide celebration called Viva Florida 500, and it's focused on the cultures and people who have called Florida their home and highlights their impacts on the history of the state. We begin in St. Augustine, the oldest city in the United States. St. Augustine is located in northeast Florida. As you travel around the city, you see some amazing architecture that reminds you of a long time ago. Historic St. George Street is for pedestrians only. There and on the surrounding streets, you'll find bistros, taverns, galleries, and gift shops. You can also take a trolley to see the sights around town. Throughout the city, you can visit museums, historic buildings, and the forts that protected residents from pirates. Our first stop is the tasting room, and it's one of St. Augustine's best and most interesting restaurants. The tasting room opened in 2006, and it's a great place to try a lot of innovative Spanish cuisine with a local twist. The executive chef and managing partner at the tasting room is Michael Lugo. During our visit, Chef Michael prepared 2 dishes for us. The first was snapper in escabeche with mixed peppers. The second dish is cochinitos, a caramel and chili braised pork belly using curabota pork.
We lightly season it with a rub that has paprika, cayenne pepper.
That's just chunks then, Chef,
chunks,
right?
Yeah, chunks of the pork belly. We're gonna put a little bit of shallots. We're gonna put a little bit of garlic in there. You're gonna braise that for about 35, 40 minutes.
We'll show the folks at home just what that looks like right there.
It rendered out the fat. We added about a cup of water in that to kind of bring out, you see the spices in the flavor of the meat. We came up with this idea of doing a caramel lacquer to it. So while it's braising, we build a basic caramel where we put sugar in a dry pan, reduce that down, makes a nice caramel. We're gonna throw jalapenos in here right now just to give it a little bit more spice. And as we get the braising liquid going again, we're gonna add a nice little caramel to that. That concentrates the flavors of the sweetness against the sour and the heat of the peppers. So that's gonna come down for another 2 hours. We're gonna reduce that down, let it come down slowly. And you're gonna get this wonderful caramelization of the pork. And that's why we call it cochinitos, because you know, they're little pigs, you know, reduced down in the caramel, the lacquer. We get some of this great bread on here, and we're just gonna put that on the plate.
Traditional Spanish food, they do serve a lot of bread with their dishes.
You know, tapas in general, it means exactly that, to cover.
Right.
We're gonna finish this off with just putting a little bit of house pickled onions and some little cilantro just right on top to give it a little bit more of that aromatics to it for you. We got both these dishes for you. I wonder if I could take you to the wine cellar. We can try these with some wine.
That'd be fantastic. Folks, let me tell you, if you're interested in these dishes, it's very easy to get the recipes. You can go on cookingchanneltv.com or emerils.com for the recipes. So now we're going to taste wine on top of that. Fantastic. Let's do it. The wine list at the tasting room is pretty extensive. They have over 120 wines from Spain, but they also have a pretty heavy California focus. For our tasting, Chef Michael picked a California producer that I'm a big fan of, Costa Brown. We tried their Chardonnay with the escabeche and their Pinot Noir with the cochinitos. This is going to be interesting. You know, bacon and Pinot is really a classic. I mean, with pork belly, it's going to be interesting to see. the little twist of what you did with the pickled onion and a little cilantro.
You smell the violets and a little bit of...
Just a little hint of cherry in there too. All right, chef, make me go first. Wow, the caramel is just... Another winner.
That's what we try to do.
You know, that caramel cut a little bit of the fattiness of the pork, but didn't really take away from the structure of the dish.
Exactly.
And it really sort of goes really well with this Pinot.
It's kind of a bridge between the
Absolutely.
food and the wine.
Absolutely.
Nice balance is what
Really
we try to do on the
fantastic.
menu.
Thank you so much for your
Thanks for
hospitality.
coming.
Chef,
Cheers.
thank you. Cheers. Stay with us. For our next Viva Florida 500 segment, we travel to Pensacola. There we'll visit Jackson's Steakhouse, and Wagyu beef is on the menu.
Emeril's Florida is sponsored by Visit Florida, promoting tourism in the Sunshine State. Emeril's Florida is sponsored by the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association. Our mission is to protect, educate, and promote Florida's hospitality industry.
The next stop in our Viva Florida 500 show is Pensacola, located in the northwest corner of the state. Pensacola is probably best known for its white, sugary sand beaches, but it also played an important role in Florida's history, which is why it has an important place in the Viva Florida 500 celebration. It's a pretty involved story, but after Spain, France, Britain, and then Spain again controlled Florida, it was turned over to the United States in 1821. The transfer took place at this park in downtown Pensacola, Plaza Ferdinand, named after the King of Spain at the time, General Andrew Jackson. Just a few years before he became our 7th president, represented the United States at Plaza Ferdinand in the formal transfer of Florida from Spain to the United States. A bust of Jackson now stands at the location where the transfer took place and where he was then inaugurated as Florida's first governor. Across the street from Ferdinand Plaza is one of the city's greatest restaurants, Jackson's Steakhouse, named after President Andrew Jackson for the role he played in the history of Florida and Pensacola. Jackson's occupies the ground floor of an 1860s-era revitalized building. The executive chef for Jackson's Steakhouse is Irv Miller. He's also one of the owners. While Jackson's is known for their steaks, they also feature a lot of local produce and Florida seafood.
We're going to have the oysters.
You can see that influence throughout the menu, and the chef prepared a few dishes for us to try. All right, chef, so what do we have?
You know, I'm a big supporter of the Gulf Coast, just like you. Right here are Apalachicola oysters, and they are prepared similar to a Rockefeller. It has a creamy spinach base to it with a Mornay sauce, and then bacon and panko crust.
Well,
Absolutely.
great texture.
And the piri butter over top of that, you get just a little kick on the end.
Super good.
Good.
The chef also prepared a grits and shrimp dish that was awesome. He finished our tasting with a fried green tomatoes and crab meat dish that was another winner. Now what do you got up your sleeve?
Oh, wait, this is a good one.
We're gonna go cook now?
Let's go cook.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
All right, chef, so what are we making?
You know, I thought I'd do something a little fun today, a little unusual, you know, not a classic steak, you know, which we're so famous for. But I took a piece of Wagyu, a flat iron steak, and marinated in some special home spices. And we're gonna slice that and toss that and make a little celebration of the season on a plate.
Great. Let's
You ready?
do it. I'm ready to go.
All right. Okay. So we would take the meat off, and I'm just gonna carve off of this with my slicer.
Perfectly cooked.
Yeah, and I like to cut it really thin, you know, so it's so nice and tender.
Hey, look at
and
the
look at
marble-
that, I know, it's just
marbleness.
perfect and
Great.
beautiful. And then we're gonna toss this in that bowl
Okay.
with a little bit of homemade chimichurri.
How do you make yours? With
You know, I did hot peppers and of course oregano, and there's parsley and basil. It's got a little bit of bite to it. And let's take the steak and put it in this bowl. Now we'll add the broccolini tips.
so the chimichurri is gonna go right on the meat.
Yeah, the
then.
chimichurri is just like added herbs,
Yep.
a nice spice, and just a little bit of bite, not too much. I brought out a little bit of soy sauce today, you know, because soy, ginger, garlic, all those
Salt.
things, salt work really well with this. And then I have some caramelized onions. I'm going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And then I got Malva Weaver's hot peppers right here. We love our hot pepper stuff down here, don't we? And hot pepper vinegar. Then we're going to toss this up. But before I complete it, I'm going to add some arugula.
Really nice.
And you just toss that right in with the whole thing. Over here I made some kale chips. You hear that?
I love it.
They're beautiful and crispy. I rubbed them with olive oil
And baked them?
And baked them for about 25 minutes. And then we just take this goodness here. This is actually a new menu item.
So this final dish is called?
Dressed Wagyu.
I love it.
Or autumn bouquet.
Autumn
Yeah.
bouquet of Wagyu beef.
There you go.
Nice job.
Thank you very
I
much.
can't wait to taste it. Folks, if you want the recipe, it's real easy. Just go to cookingchanneltv.com or you can go to emerils.com. In our next segment, we're going to head to Ybor City in Tampa and to the oldest restaurant in Florida, the Columbia. We're going to prepare one of their signature dishes, paella a la Valenciana. Stay with us.
Emeril's Florida is sponsored by Fresh from Florida. For unique recipes, visit freshfromflorida.com. Emeril's Florida is sponsored by visitflorida.com. Find out what the sunshine can do for you at visitflorida.com.
We have now moved to Tampa, West Coast, Florida. In fact, Ybor City. Ybor City is known for its production of cigars. In fact, at one time, it was known as the cigar capital of the world. Ybor City is located on Florida's central Gulf Coast, within the city of Tampa. Like our other stops in this Viva Florida 500 episode, Ybor City has a rich and interesting history. Ybor City was unique in the 1800s because of its multi-ethnic and multi-racial communities. The immigrants who form the backbone of Ybor City's workforce still maintain a presence today. The art of hand rolling cigars can still be seen along Ybor's Main Street, 7th Avenue. But times have changed, and today, Ybor City is more of a dining and entertainment district. Ybor City is home to one of the most iconic restaurants in the country. It's been open since 1905. You know what? I am ready for some delicious Spanish food. The Columbia is the oldest restaurant in Florida, and it's one of the most beautifully designed restaurants you'll find anywhere. And it's a big place. There are 15 dining rooms that can seat up to 1,700 people. The Gonsmont family has owned the restaurant since it opened. Andrea Gosmont has worked at the Columbia since she was 10 and is now a fifth-generation owner-operator. The restaurant is absolutely beautiful. She took me on a tour and pointed out some of the important family moments that have happened here. For example, this is the table where her dad proposed to her mom. There's a lot of family history here, and the Columbia has come a long way since it opened in 1905.
It originally started as a very small corner cafe, serving Cuban sandwiches, café con leche, the most simple things you could imagine. And then literally we grew room by room, and this is the second room that was added. It was the first air-conditioned dining room in Florida.
Wow. Then we headed to the kitchen, where Andrea prepared one of Columbia's signature dishes, paella a la Valenciana.
We start with our Spanish onions and our green peppers, of course.
All right.
And you just want to saute your onions and your green peppers until they get soft. And of course, garlic. No Spanish dish is any good without garlic. Next thing you want to add, which is going to really create your sofrito, is doing your tomato.
So now the sofrito is complete with bell pepper, onion, tomato, and garlic. And in some instances, maybe sometimes there is pork or bacon.
Whatever you'd like.
That's right.
Because no one paella is the same. We're doing a classic Columbia paella Valenciana. So we're doing the pork and the chicken. And we personally use the little Columbia seasoning.
That's the secret, Columbia seasoning.
It's like your secret
It's like
seasoning.
the BAM.
Yeah,
It's like the
exactly.
BAM. I like it. What's your feeling about saffron?
You have to have saffron. That's what makes your rice yellow.
See?
But my secret is I like to do my my chicken broth, which is in that little pot. I put it in my mortar pestle, and then I put it in my chicken broth.
Now you're going with shrimps,
My
calamares,
shrimp and calamares.
right?
Mix it in. I just added my shellfish.
Clams and mussels.
Exactly.
All right, so now we're putting the stock that's been infused with saffron. And then you have a bay leaf.
Add in my bay leaf.
And next is going to be
Our rice.
the rice. And this is a true paella rice, not anything like risotto rice.
No, not at all.
This comes up to a simmer, and now we cover it,
Most important part, so that way you get the steam with your rice.
and then it goes in the oven.
And then you want to cook it for 20 to 30 minutes, once again, based upon your oven.
So, sangria and paella,
It is definitely a perfect match.
all right, let's try some. So I see we got a little garnish of roasted red pepper.
Red peppers,
Or-
peas,
or
white
pimento.
asparagus, very, very traditional Spanish.
Yeah. Wow.
And surprisingly
That's
enough,
a
this is paella
lot.
for one.
This is paella for one.
So bring your appetite if you're coming to the Columbia restaurant.
That is awesome.
Good, I'm glad you like it.
That is a real, true Spanish paella.
Gotta have sangria to wash it down with.
I will. Cheers.
Cheers. Salud.
Salute. If you want the recipes for the paella or any of the dishes you see on Emeril's Florida, just go to cookingchanneltv.com, or you can also get them at emerils.com. Next up, we're heading to the Kennedy Space Center, and we're talking space food with a shuttle commander. And then he's going to teach me to land the shuttle. Don't even think about touching that remote. We started our Viva Florida 500 episode talking about the Spanish explorers who discovered Florida. To find America, they looked to the stars to navigate the oceans. Their modern-day counterparts head towards the stars as they explore outer space. The history of America's space program is celebrated here at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. It's located on the east coast of Central Florida, about an hour's drive from Orlando, and it is really a one-of-a-kind place. The Rocket Garden recalls NASA's earliest days with the rockets that first launched us into space. At the Apollo Saturn V Center, you can see the rockets and capsules that our astronauts rode to get to the moon. You can also learn about the experiences of veteran astronauts who come back to the visitors complex for question and answer sessions. While we were at the visitor complex, we met one of those astronauts, Colonel Rick Ciafos, a former shuttle pilot and commander who has logged over 900 hours in space. In 1998, he commanded a 7-person crew on the last and most complex of the 25 Space Lab missions conducted by NASA. When you're in space and you have this food that's dehydrated, there must be a lot of tests that go on for what the intake should be. Is that correct?
Right. I mean, we work with dietitians and folks in the food lab to help us get the right composition of our menus, but we basically have our own choices. And I ended up, by my last mission, flying M&Ms for every lunch and dinner because of the play value. They're great to bounce off the walls.
I love it.
And also shrimp cocktail, because the horseradish just clears the pipes out. One of the things that happens when you go up there, the fluid shifts and so forth in your body tend to make you feel like you have a little bit of a head cold. So nice spicy foods, horseradishy foods are very helpful to clear the pipes.
I know firsthand what the Colonel's talking about because I actually have a connection to the space program, and it goes back to the late 90s. Back then, NASA recruited me and a few other chefs to create some new dishes for the astronauts at the International Space Station. It took over 18 months to develop and test the recipes with NASA. And then, this was really cool. During an episode of my Emeril Live series, I got to talk with astronaut Jeff Williams from the space station to see what they thought of the food we made for them. Did you get a chance to sample the foods, and what did you guys think?
Yesterday for lunch, we sampled the foods, and we especially enjoyed the jambalaya and the kicked-up mashed potatoes. And I think, in particularly because of the spiciness and just the extra flavor that they had.
I got to tell you, folks, for me to be a part of something like this was just a great experience and really one of the proudest moments of my life. Now, as we end today's show, I'm going to get a chance to do something I've never done before, and that's to land the shuttle in one of the simulators at the Space Center. Colonel Rick Ciafos is my instructor, and we'll see, with his and Mission Control's help, if I can take this baby in for a clean landing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Right now we're at about 40 feet altitude, 230 knots. There's 25 feet, 210.
And the nose is up.
Yeah, the nose is up. 7 feet, 195 at 185. There's touchdown at 180 knots. The nose will derotate on its own. And once you get to wheel stop, you just breathe the sigh of relief.
Yeah.
And tell Houston you're home and step into the checklist.
Uh-huh.